Alright, good morning everyone. I will try to eat my eat my cereal, my crunchy cereal a little quickly today. Some Cinnamon Toast Crunch, which of course anything with the word crunch in the title is probably a bad idea to be streaming with. Maybe I'll turn my mic off for a little bit, for a couple minutes. We can just kind of zoom out and maybe watch our ships sail around a little bit. Think about the day. Think about this arrangement of islands. Alright, yeah, I'm gonna turn off the audio for a minute. Alright, so it was kind of fun as always to just kind of watch our ships hang around, do some stuff. If this is one of the reasons I'm making this, is really just the ant farm of a simulation. I think they're just really satisfying, being able to see that, trying to figure out why that is tilted that way and just a little bit different. But that ant farm is just very satisfying. You have these kind of accidental behaviors that end up being, seeming much more alive and intentional than they are. Then you have a lot of very dumb behaviors. I feel like ant farm is, in many ways, a very correct, analogy, because, our understanding of ants' thinking processes, this is kind of what the AI is. It's not actually thinking very much. It's just kind of operating on some very fundamental behaviors. Okay. So, what do we have going on today? Spent 10 minutes eating breakfast and looking at the thing. Again, watching ships fight and move in general is very satisfying. Seeing the chains of allied and rival ports, I think, we were working on our ports being a little bit more interesting, right? So if we move the ports to the top of this, think about, okay, we wanted to see our ports depleting goods. So if I go to this point, so I think there's a couple things, which is our port actually needs goods. So if we start the game, let's go ahead and select our ports. Environment, ports, port. Null, supply, construction. And I've been thinking about this even more, after I went through all the trouble to think about like cost and weight and size, and kind of segmenting these out. But also thinking, really right now all of our items are in a single list, which I am okay with. However, the question is whether we are going to want different weights and sizes. Are weapons going to be consistently the same cost? They can be consistently the same weight and size. So I was thinking that if we look in our script, if our class is basic, so let's open this up. We have this. So we have I also apologize, there's a very loud truck that is out front. It's great. We don't have very thick walls in this building. Okay. So for now, this does work. If I just pause and select this, I can see wealth. Oh, this has a lot of wealth. And it's using up all these supplies. Okay. It should use up that supply if we keep hanging around. That supply should disappear. Assuming I'm not paused. Am I paused? I am paused. Okay, so if I hang out for a few more seconds, I should see that supply disappear. Yep. So it's out of supplies. So the next thing it has to do is generate supplies. Okay. I think I want to think about, we're going to have fishing, and I have fruit or plants. Fishing and veggies. Do we want to break it down this much? Fishing, animals, veggies. I don't know. Okay. But, yeah, so we have fishing, animals, and veggies. I think you might even just gonna say that. Yep. Yep. I don't care about more than that right now. Even fishing is, well, fishing is super important, but, so we can think about, we'll probably need some fishing boats. And dock. How much fishing can they get from the dock? And how much land? So we're on a chain of islands, so we're trusting that fishing is maybe just a byproduct of how many people we have fishing. So maybe we're going to want some fishing vessels. If our game is going to be heavily about ships. Okay, so going to harvest plants. Okay. Harvest fish. We're going to find out whether or not we harvest fish. Guess I should make that a void because it's a function. And void harvest plants. And this is where we're going to add to our supplies. So I think we can go ahead and say storage.add item. So maybe based on right now they're going to create an abundance. So if we're generating 1 and 1, then this thing is going to produce a surplus, which maybe is what we want. Maybe so. This is going to require some balancing, but I'm just going to go ahead and say new, basics basic values dot item. Why is this inside a basic ship? Find all references. Find all references. What about you? So I think I'm actually going to switch to I think I have a script called resources. I do. I think we should put this in there. Resources dot item supply basic. Right. Alright, and now we're going to be having an issue because this is looking for it in the wrong place. Resources. Okay. That should be right now. And we're going to say for integer I is equal to I is less than, what is our island size? So I wonder if we want to have the classes of island size or something. Right now when we're creating this, we're giving it a random scale. We're giving it some random resources. Okay. And what we want to do is maybe turn those resources into supplies. So I think what we actually need to do, I'm going to go ahead and save this, go back to our port. Harvest, deplete, convert. What did I mean by convert? Add items. Oh, add item. Wrote it right there. So harvest, take resources from island, deplete, add items based on structures. So harvest, we're imagining we're just going to take and store resources. Okay, so with that, then harvest fish, harvest plants. So I think the real thing here is we need to be able to take resources. Our island has resource types. I'm thinking we should actually pull this into here. quality amount, max regen time. Okay. So I think now what I want is a resource, and actually what I'm going to call a generator. And I think that is going to generate a type of resource and do I have that backwards? I think I have that backwards. T. No. This is what it's going to generate. Object T object so there's going to be a generator. Generator will generate any type of things T. Buildings themselves could be generators, or could include generators. And I believe generic objects cannot be serializable, cannot look at them in the editor, but then we're going to have a converter that T and V, T and U, I know how the alphabet works. T and U, and this is going to be output object. Input object T U input output and then the question is, is this based on a time thing? Is this based on a being called to do it? I think for now I'm going to say calling it. We have to call it. So we're going to say mount for one output. Input amount output okay, input amount and output amount. Okay, so Mm-hmm. 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 So, some really basic things. You know, like we're just saying, okay, I need output object. So what we're looking at right now is how we convert. Does this even need to be generated? Should it actually just be a function inside of a resource? I don't know. Okay. Well, we're not going to worry about that either right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say public public queue of u, and that'll be convert. So we're going to make a new queue of u, and it's going to be return queue equals new queue of u for int I is less than put amount I plus plus this needs that. Actually, it's going to be a while function. While input amount is more than 0. Yeah, this totally just needs to be a function. This doesn't need to be an object itself. This is just going to be a conversion. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to try this. Public queue convert tu. No, sorry. Convert t comma u like that. Input amount and output amount. So I'm probably going to get rid of this, but I'm not going to do it just yet. So what I've done here is I'm making a thing that returns a queue. There are different types of lists. This second value is what we are returning to other things when we call it. If I say void, I am not returning anything. I'm just doing the actions inside of here. But if I put this down at the bottom and say return queue, I should now no longer have cannot declare instance members. that's a new thing. I don't know what that means. Let us Google this. All right. Static C# cannot return instance. Instance. Basically the same as a non-static class cannot be instantiated. In other words, you cannot use the new operator to create a variable of the class type. Okay. You access the members of a static class by using class name itself, for example. You call the method as this. Static class can be used as a convenient container for sets of methods to just operate on input parameters. Do not have to get or set any internal instance fields. Contains only static members. Cannot be instantiated. Cannot contain instance constructors. Okay. But we are making a new thing. Convert argument. So let's see if I give it a Q. Cannot declare instance members. Static classes cannot be instantiated. Have an instance members. They'd never be. Yes, I don't. Please explain. Cannot define non-static members. It is not legal to declare an instance. Okay, well, they don't have any errors in their code. Nice. We almost certainly don't want that. Okay. Make your class non-static or the member static. Okay. So, nope. I don't know what that. Oh, dumb. So let's try this. equals, well, so this is saying this needs to be static. New okay, it does let me do that. Okay. Okay. Int count equals 0. Put count plus equals input amount minus minus if count is more than output amount. But no, what I'm saying is so how many units amount cost per output. Okay. Cost per output. And then this is going to be int input amount. Output per unit. Output output per conversion. So, okay. So we're gonna set, we're gonna say input amount. Well, input amount is more than 0. If count is more than cost per output, then we are going to return q dot push dot stack. I know the words. NQ output. And it's more than or equal to that. And count is now equal to 0. And this is going to be for integer I is less than 0. I is less than output per conversion I plus plus. minus, 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 minus. Though I also think, well, this is fine. This works. Okay. So, we've made a converter. We've made a generator. Let's see, I'm going to get rid of that. And let's see if this has any errors. It does indeed. Oh, because we have, well, one, we have that. But we also have this. Yeah, okay. Let's try this again. All right. Still have this thing. Okay. So let's go now to see our port. Okay. Now all of this is happening at the exact same time. So I don't know how we feel about that, but I think I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm also gonna take a minute to take a break. But before I do that, let's just see if this indeed, if we're able to harvest fish. The result should be that we are constantly seeing supply added to the end of this. Or actually, this is losing a supply. And then adding it again. So now we can no longer, it's kind of remaining static. Okay, I'm going to take a brief pause, and I'll be back. Alright, let's do a little bit more with this thing. So, what do we want to do now? So we are in the middle of adding resources and depleting resources. But right now it's a perfect balance. Right? We are using one supply and we are adding one resource. So, this is kind of cold, but I think what we then want is to have some islands. We basically want, let's go ahead and just kind of write this out a little bit. We could also start to think about the pirate effects. If we're making a roguelike, if we want to make this actually a little bit more dangerous than some of the fun, is that idea of, well, taking things from others or fighting off others. So I think we want small structures, small islands don't generate enough. So small islands need resources. But this kind of 1 in 1 every 10 seconds is probably a little too extreme. Like if they're losing a resource and they only have one, so we probably need to start with a lot more. Like if they're losing one every 10 seconds. Yeah. Right now we have this whole thing, which I know that we fixed on this ship. Hold. Right. We also have this whole chance thing. I don't think we need chance, actually. We're gonna slowly get rid of that. Storage add. I think we want another add item, a public pool, add item. No, stop doing that. Integer count and float chain. No. This is just going to for integer I is less than I is 0, I is less than count, I plus plus. It's just going to add item. Bool successful equals true, and if and dot item is not equal to true, successful equals false. Return successful. added all items. Okay. So now instead of, if I go into ship hold, I'm going to just say, so right now we have the chance of just 1 to 5 of all of these things. So I'm just going to go ahead and add 5 of everything. So instead of this whole thing, storage dot add 5. Item wealth, item supply, item construction, item weapon. Getting rid of this, getting rid of this. And these things have like 5. Our ports can have way more. Right? So I'm gonna say our port has 10 times as much wealth, 20 times as much, so 100 supplies, and sure, 100 times as much construction, and 10 times as many weapons. Now suddenly, this feels a little bit more connected, right? If our max items are 500. Max space. This is 300 items. Although, if we go to this definition, we can see that these things actually, item weight and size, are pretty big. So I think we're going to need to scale up how much our port can hold. I'm going to go ahead and just add a 10 to both of those numbers. Alright, so we're losing an item. Well, no. Right now, we are staying steady. So we're just like at 100 items constantly. But this is where we can maybe start to think about what is a resource. Alrighty, this is also getting pretty long. We're already storage. So like storage might want to become its own class. Resources might want to become their own class. Because again, we're already getting pretty long here. But I think the thing that I wanted to do, that I was about to start, was the idea that our items are what does it mean? Like, can we come up with some, like, handy things? And I feel like supplies could be something like per 10 people, you know, one supply is equal to food for 10 for a day. Seems like a, decent starting kind of thing, but just helps us to visualize this stuff a little bit. One construction could equal build one house, simple house. So then we could say something like 10 builds a ship. Do we want to subdivide these things? Do we subdivide weapons into, Right now we have construction. Does that include metal and wood? The reason I'm kind of trying to... I would like to keep these things simple. So... like, there's plenty we can do with the idea of supply, construction, wealth, weapons. So, engine. Maybe something like one can repair a ship for 5 shots, 5 cannon shots. Okay. What is one weapon? One weapon is one person. 10 people per battle. But what is a battle? How do weapons get depleted? Right? Do they get depleted? Swords and, like... does weapon usage, like, imply that if we bring weapons onto a ship, they are used during battle, and that they go away? think I want to say 10 10 cannonballs. Also depletes in other ways. TBD. Yep. Alright. And what is 1 wealth? Can buy 1 construction. Can buy 5 construction. Wealth is going to be valuable. Okay. Cool. That's a thing we can start with. So I'm gonna... Good. That's, more construction going on. Just that truck is just gonna be there all morning. Alright. Well, that's okay. I'm gonna probably only work on this another 5-10 minutes right now. But we also can think about every 10 seconds, is that a day of time? Which means every minute is a week of time? Or just less than a week of time? Or do we want to say every minute is a day? Maybe they're finally leaving. And of course... Alright. Wow. It really got... Well... Okay. Good. Time. 1 minute equals 1 day in game. I almost feel like every 30 seconds equals a day. Okay. I think that's good. So that means every minute it's 2 days of game time. 30 seconds is 1 day. Meaning 60 seconds equals 2 days. 5 minutes equals 10 days. 5 minutes equals 10 days. Feels kind of good. I think let's go with that. For now, that'll do. it's enough to like quantify a little bit of what I'm thinking about, and you know. So now let's go back and look at this. So now, if we're thinking about it, out of supplies. Which port? Wealth. Supply. I do feel like this is gonna be overkill, actually, because we're starting to simplify the concept of wealth and supplies and things. Right now, we're not really exploring the idea that they have different qualities. Because I'm not convinced that them having different qualities kind of does anything for us. So. Okay, now there's a siren. Oh my god. Okay. Can I mute for a second? Alright. So we have this whole port thing with this list of items that's 500 items long. Now the next thing we want to do is start to think about our islands running out of supplies or wanting more or creating surpluses. So, like I said, I think I'm going to call it there. I know I keep turning this down to an hour versus 2 hours, but I have a bunch of work to do in work. So, I think this is still feeling good. I still feel good about making a little bit of progress today, and that's really the goal, is just moving things forward a little bit each time. Alright, thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you all some other day.